Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Roll Wise Show, the place where we talk about and play games. Today, we're going to be continuing our intrepid journey into the Varou lands in the system of Ironsworn. As you may have heard or may have seen in previous episodes, Brent is going to be out for just a little bit. So Jeff and I are undertaking the experiment of playing a cooperative game. So if you want to see how the game has been going up until this point, because this is the first time you've caught an episode, we are part of we have this listed in a playlist. You can go catch those previous episodes and kind of catch up there. We'll give you a short summary in a moment here as to what's happened. But yeah, I think so far it's been fun. Honestly, I think I haven't really played any co-op games in terms of like maybe a couple here and there. Board games, I guess.
Yeah, I've done cooperative board games, quite a few, but this is, I think, the first cooperative. Well, I guess they're all cooperative, but you know what I mean. Like when we don't
with GM-less, where we're
GM-less.
Yeah, where we're kind of negotiating the story, and there's not one person going, "Well, right. I think the plot will take you here," and kind of steepling their fingers behind the GM screen.
Exactly, and I think that's one of the reasons why it feels, at least to me, you can tell me if you feel different, but it feels a little stilted. Like we're starting to get into the flow, I think, but we're not fully there. Like,
I think it takes some practice, as with any game, to smooth it out and stuff like that. I think it's gonna be a minute, but it's, I think playing it like this and getting an idea as to how the flow of it goes, because you are going to kind of fast forward and rewind and retcon some things because they're not going to make sense in the story. Right. Like what vow and how did Jeff make the vow? It was on a hatchet. I mean, a sword. That we. I mean, a dagger. It was a piece of iron. God damn it. So taking better notes is kind of on us to make sure that we capture some of that information for recall and all those things. And I think that as a cooperative game, it depends on how much you want to like play in character, I think would be the way I would look at it. Are we making speeches to each other in character, or are we just, are you playing from like the third person view, because that's where we tend to play in all of our games. We kind of tend to play from a third person view. Oh, I ask him, how about this? Instead of like, slipping into the skin and being like, I go up to the table, I put my hand down and in a gruff voice, hey, we don't do any of that real deep characterization, let's call it. So I think today we'll get a quick summary of what we've done so far, what our mission is, who our characters are, and then we'll jump into it again. We'll do another leg of this journey, and we'll see how many legs we get to before we forsake our vow or succeed. All right. So before we begin, do you have any other things you wanted to add, Jeff?
No, I think you hit the high points. So we'll introduce ourselves, describe ourselves, and then get some plot. Or do you want to do the plot first before the character?
Why don't we just do a quick reminder as to who we are, and then we'll do the plot bits.
I am playing Canute Astrum. I am the oldest son of the shipwright in the village. I have also told my father that I don't want to become a shipwright. And so I was training with the local swordmaster to be his apprentice and a hunter and that kind of stuff. And then he got killed by the Leviathan. And I swore a pretty strong blood oath on the sword that I got from him that I would avenge his death and try to save the village.
Sounds pretty serious. Sounds like an epic quest. Sounds like that's where we're at.
This is epic as any 17 to 19-year-old.
Yeah, I mean it's as epic as any story can get. Is save the village, defeat the monster, maybe get a girl. I don't know. Like there's a lot that goes into this story. And I'm his trusty companion, Alfred Vrack, a kind of a wiry individual, hardened fisherman that had come to the village kind of as a wanderer, vagabond, and homeless person. And it's hard to be homeless for long in the Ironlands, and so it was nice that he was able to find a place, and he worked his way into the village. So now seeing that there's this massive threat, the Leviathan, which has pretty much destroyed the fishing in the area, and it, as well as taken out many important people in the village. The village having sent that group of people on a boat to try to push the Leviathan out or slay it, and them getting destroyed getting killed, and the boat being sunk has been a huge blow. So that's why there are only 2 people undertaking this quest as kind of a last resort to drive out this foe. Okay. So to get to where we need to, the plot so far is that we've discovered that the village at one point it was able to keep these type of monsters at bay because it had possessed an Abyssal Harpoon, a weapon that was forged from a long dead sea god, and as you may guess, probably at least in times past, allowed them to make sure the monsters and those things that are swimming in the deep didn't bother the village, at least not so much. However, a generation ago, the Varou, the village, in its wisdom, had decided to expand. It pushed up against the borders of a Varou clan from the hinterlands, and unfortunately, the Varou, being powerful warriors, were able to fairly easily wipe out those homesteads and those people that were a little bit too close to the lands. Seeking to pursue peace, our village had ultimately given up, as a kind of a gesture of our sincerity, the Abyssal Harpoon to the Varou, who respected it as a mighty gift. And pretty much we made a blood pact to go our separate ways. We would never step foot on their lands again. And so far we had done a pretty good job not doing that. We'd stayed to the coast and stayed to the sea and stayed out of the Varou's hair. For those that are wondering, Varou are a wolf-like creature, a humanoid creature that very much has a feel of a werewolf so far, but I think we might kind of play around with that a little bit in our world and see if there can be something more interesting there. And we made our way to the edge of the Varou lands, finding what looks to be a kind of a natural separation, a ravine with a bridge that has been strung across, kind of connected to the trees with the symbolic Varou imagery carved into it, warning intruders that they are passing on to lands that are not theirs. And the Varou being fiercely territorial, this could be bad.
Could be.
Mm-hmm. And so we've been making our journey. We've been filling out our progress bar. And those of you that know Ironsworn know that as you proceed in something, you fill up progress bars and everything like that. Your goal is to eventually reach a destination. So we're using moves to make progress as we go through the wilderness. And then, of course, once we get to our destination, we will see what happens. But right now, our destination is basically the main Varou village, whatever that may be, and see if we can't convince them that they need to give us the spear, maybe on loan.
Yeah,
I guess, I don't know. Either win it back in battle or convince them, or maybe just have one of them come with us carrying the spear. I don't know. Maybe one of their hunters could prove their mettle, and I don't know. Who knows? So we were standing at the edge of the bridge, kind of gazing at the symbols, knowing what was at stake behind us, and knowing the dangers ahead. I look to you. That final question of like, are you sure you want to do this?
I nod my head and I take out a leather thong and what's the word? Peace bond, my weapon.
Oh, sure.
And I say, you should get out the cover for your spear. If the Varou, if we enter their lands and we have bared steel, it's an open challenge to combat, and my guess is there'll be enough of them to wipe us out before we get to talk to anybody about the spear. But if we go in with no weapons and don't act aggressively, maybe they'll be curious enough to take us to their village and let us speak to their leader.
Possible. There's a part of me that doubts that, as I'm basically slipping the leather cover over the leather sheath over my my spear, and I'm like tying it off, and there's a part of me that's like looking at you like, well, I hope you're right. Otherwise, I'm going to be clubbing some Varou with this.
Yeah. I guess you just, if it comes to battle, I guess we toss the worthless weapons at them and try to take one of theirs.
Yeah, that's going to work.
Yeah. Well, I thought about this on the journey here, and with their renown as fighters and the way the stories say they bested us, I I don't think we can fight our way to their village, and if we do, I don't. Maybe we would have respect if we defeated enough of their warriors and then came to the village to talk. That just seems like the harder path. I'm open to suggestions, but that's the best I can come up with.
Well, I mean, I would rather not go that route, because I think if we were to fight our way to the village, neither one of us would make it. Or make it in a way that we could ask questions. we would be in no position to treat with them. Okay, so sheaths, spear, and sword, and a bridge in front of us.
And I think we cross and look for signs and try to head towards their village if we can find any signs, or maybe the road leads right there. I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think we can find out. So passing into the village, I think that the land is going to still be that kind of, like, what would you describe this hinterland as? Like, I imagine it being sparsely treed, but enough.
I imagined it having a few more trees, maybe not fully forest, but heading out of kind of like the scrubland, that's next to the coast, starting to get a little more trees and maybe more hilly.
Okay.
I don't know. It's not fully mountainous yet, based on the map that I saw, but that's what I pictured. So I don't think we were that far apart in what we pictured.
Okay. Yeah. Then I think that's fine. Hard to say necessarily if the hinterlands, how far we'd have to go into the hinterlands, but this is where we start making moves. So back to the back to the rules and everything like that. So crossing the bridge, hand over hand, kind of swings over the rope. The question is, here's the first question, and this is I think kind of leading to the idea of like the culture of the Varou and all that stuff, is how well maintained is this bridge? Is it like they put it across one time and then the gods decide when they can no longer take this way, or like how do you imagine the Varou kind of taking care of this?
I think they're a little more warlike, and so things like this, like repair of infrastructure, probably isn't the most glorious job that they have. So my guess is they replace the rope bridge every time it breaks.
Okay. So,
like when they have to. But I don't know how often they cross out of their lands into ours.
Sure. So it's not something that is like generally cared for. And I mean, it's more utility, Yes. Don't fix it if it's not broken, and it doesn't seem broken right now. So,
yeah.
Do you think that there's any,
somewhere around 75% of the way through, you should figure out if it's broken or not.
Yeah. As soon as Jeff crofts over, I'm going to check to see if it's broken now. Do you think that there's any spiritual significance with the markings or anything like that they have placed onto the bridge that designate their territory? Is it like, to
them, I think probably.
Okay,
that's my guess.
And do you think they use kind of like a hieroglyph, a rune? What do you think there?
I think they're probably more runes, like a little cruder.
Okay.
I'm in trouble for saying that, but I don't know. In my mind, runes are a little cruder than hieroglyphs. They serve the same purpose.
I mean, I could probably do runes better.
Mike, I don't know.
Well, I mean, or do they have their own language? I mean, obviously, pictograms, like there's tons
Well,
to choose
they're
from.
native to this land and we're not, so we brought our language with us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so my guess is they have their own that's
Okay.
developed here.
Sure. All right. Well, then we'll take it to probably neither one of us read this script. I'm sure.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like we've been exchanging cultural things with them. So if anybody in the village told us like things to look out for, like danger, warning, stop, we might know that, or we
Probably
might
just
know
the
what our interpretation of them was. But
yeah.
I
It
don't think it's a
literally
good translation. You know,
could just be like the graffiti that like the Napoleon soldiers were making in the Egyptian tombs, like like France was here, penis.
right? Yeah.
Could be the same thing. We just don't know. Okay, so I think now it's time to do a uh, so we have two options here. So if you think that we're close to the village or we have a chance to get to the village, you can always do the roll or the move. Oh, did I not open the moves? Oops. One second. Nope, I didn't open the moves. Whoopsies. So there is the move, and that move is called Reach Your Destination. So you can either basically undertake your journey to continue filling out the progress bar, or you can reach your destination, which is you roll the challenge dice and compare to your progress. You cannot use momentum on this roll, but on a strong hit, you arrive at your destination. You can either make another move now that is not a progress move and add +1, or take +1 to momentum. And on a weak hit, you arrive, but you face an unforeseen hazard or complication. Envision what you find or ask an oracle. And on a miss, you have gone hopelessly astray. Your objective has lost you, or you were misled about your destination. If your journey continues, clear all but one filled progress and raise the journey's rank by 1, if not already epic.
Damn.
So, but
Let's continue the journey.
okay. So, and just so people are aware, we roll in Discord. So that's where we tend to look at our dice and see how we did and interpret our results.
Yeah, and what stat are we using on the journey? One of the ones I have a +1 in.
Moves. So
Is that
for
wits?
adventure moves, undertake a journey, it is wait. Yeah, roll plus wits.
Okay. I will roll plus wits. I rolled a 4, and the 2 challenge dice were an 8 and a 6. So that is a
Ooh,
failure.
that is a failure. So
Wow, that
that's
would have been that almost would have been a failure on anything but us. Yeah, that was bad. Okay.
that was pretty bad. So in Ironsworn's travel move, you're pushing towards the destination. So at this point, we've literally entered the Varou lands, and we are now paying the price for playing for for breaking the oath immediately.
Immediately. Yes.
So I mean, maybe a relatively short distance from the bridge, but fairly quickly from when we set out. So the yeah, let's see. Is it on a miss? So you do not mark progress on a miss. Instead,
Right.
you encounter a new danger. You may face hazards through the weather, the terrain, encounters with creatures or people, attacks from your enemies, strange discoveries, or supernatural events. Decide what happens based on your current circumstances and surrounding, and roll on the pay the price table or ask the oracle for inspiration. Um, I'm curious what the pay the price table would look like, but
I don't know if I want to know.
I do like how they have a whole subset of moves that are like suffer moves.
Right. No, and
That's fun.
yeah, like when you screw up, you should. That part I'm fine with. I don't know if I
Yeah.
want to find out immediately.
So how far? So let's I guess see what the price is. Okay, so when you suffer the outcome of a move, choose one. You make the most obvious negative outcome happen. Envision two negative outcome. Roll one as likely. Ask the oracle using a yes/no table. On a yes, make that outcome happen, and otherwise make it the other. Or you can roll on a following table. So, is there a most obvious outcome that happens here? Like based
I
on
kind
what I've heard,
I
there's a
kind of think
few.
we might run into some creatures.
Okay. So running into some dangerous creatures for Varou or just general wildlife.
I think just general wildlife,
Okay.
because the Varou feels like it gets us closer to our goal potentially.
Hmm.
Although I suppose we could run into Varou that we're raiding of a different, sect or tribe.
Or do you want to just roll the dice and see what the D100 tells you? So on one hand, we have
We could do that.
run into some wildlife, which would be fine. Or we could run
I
into.
don't think a bear or a mountain lion or something like that would be trivial, especially with our weapons.
They wouldn't be.
We'd have to hug
Especially.
it to death.
Well, I would take my sheath off. I don't care about you. The bear is not the thing I'm worried about.
I'll just make sure to get on the other side of you while you're struggling to get the sheath off with the bear bearing down.
Man, that peace bond is coming off. I tied it with a slip knot, so I just said, I'm not silly. Okay, so let's put on one hand, we run into some wildlife that makes sense in the hinterlands. And on the other hand, let's see what happened if we paid the price and
Okay,
rolled the dice.
let's see what the pay the price. I don't know where the pay the price table is.
It's in the book on page 105. If you want to roll a D100, I can.
I will roll a D100 and then you can tell me how screwed we are. 42.
Okay. So a 42 is a new danger or foe is revealed. Okay, so we're kind of back where we are before. If we reverse that, we would have a 40 or 24, which is something of value was lost or destroyed. It really feels like fate is telling us that something about the, some foe or some danger is presented to us. So the Ironlands being a dangerous place, it seems like we could probably put a foe out there.
All right. Do you like the wild animal idea, or do you like hostile
Yeah.
tribe, or another one of the original
Well,
races, or
I think getting in touch with the firstborn right away. I don't know. That would seem awfully fast for us to like
yeah?
1 foot in. It's like their ears
Oh, hey,
perk
there
up.
you are. Oh,
Where the
thank you.
fuck? We thought you guys said you'd stay out. So there are animals. There are bears. There are boars. There is something called a gaunt. Um, and they are something they maneuver across the rough, dense terrain of the deep wilds and hinterlands, and at cunning speed and grace, they make them as ideal mounts for elves who breed and train them. Um, so they're basically like a horse. There is marsh rats and wolves.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you went to beasts, you do have basilisks, elder beasts.
Oh, good.
Um,
We can encounter another Leviathan out here. We'll have the advantage on dry land with the Leviathan.
yeah, we figure out the other Leviathan was just trying to get to its mate, who somehow went to went inland.
The wrong spot. But
Yeah.
there's also horrors, Mike. If you really want to not have fun.
Oh, you know what? A horror could make an interesting twist because that would mean that something is amiss in the Varou lands as well. If the horrors are about,
You
wouldn't it?
mean we might be able to turn a pile of poop into a poop sandwich?
I guess.
If the Varou find out we helped them inadvertently by trespassing on their land, they might feel like they owe us a favor.
Maybe. I mean, Okay, so first of all, what are the what are the bad? So it goes troublesome, dangerous, formidable, extreme, or epic. So do you want this foe to feel like a one-time foe, or at least a one encounter foe, and not necessarily like a villain springs up in the middle of the
Yeah, no,
woods who is
yeah,
now a recurring villain in your life?
yeah. Maybe dangerous as opposed to troublesome.
Okay, so maybe a level 2 or level 3 foe. I'm not saying level 2 or level 3 because because I the hard part is I have to remember it goes troublesome, dangerous, formidable. I think that's my hardest part is that all these words sound
Similar.
yeah, like until you get to extreme or epic, I'm like formidable and dangerous. Like I can't really. That's one challenge that I have with it is I can't really
Yeah,
just
so
remember very well.
what
So,
bonewalkers are dangerous.
mhm.
Everything else seems more than that. I get, or well, the sodden are formidable.
The frostbound are formidable too.
Oh, the frostbound are too. Okay. Oh, and so are the
Frost.
haunts.
Okay, so yeah, so of those formidables, we have 3 formidables and 0 dangerous. What was the dangerous one?
Just the. It looks like the only dangerous one was the bonewalkers. The
Are
Chimera's extreme. The Iron Revenant's extreme. The Hollow's extreme.
okay. So do you feel so bone walkers are like skeletons given a natural life, whatever. Humans given a natural life. Interesting. I wonder that could lead to a whole different thing. The frostbound are the heat sensing, heat stealing people that die due to wild storms and stuff like that. The cold, effectively. The haunts are restless spirits. Haunt feels less. It feels like that would be a less um, applicable type. And then the sodden is somebody who is drowned or put to rest in water. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess a
honestly,
sodden
kind of
could be.
feels like Crossbound or Bonewalker.
So
Want
do
to
you?
roll an Oracle? You want to roll the yes/no dice?
Uh, sure, you could roll a 50-50. I think from the question it would be is that before you did that, would it be more
Okay.
interesting to have bone walkers of human or Varou origin, or do you think it would be more interesting to imply that there was such a bad winter that there are things that gave horror um, to some things that fell prey to that horrible winter? Like, so you know what I'm saying? Which one do you think seems more interesting to you?
I honestly, I don't have a lean in that one. I don't think either one sounds any more interesting than the other necessarily. So if you do, I'm willing to go with that. Like if you're leaning more Frostbound or more Bonewalker, I'm willing to go with that. I think either one of those stories that you just posited, I think, is pretty much equally as interesting in my head. I think weather still kills a lot of people in these lands.
Oh, well, this could be interesting. What if these horrors, these bone walkers, are the people from our village that had moved into the Varou lands? They had the
That's more interesting.
there you go.
Right? No, that now you're thinking. You put on the thinking cap.
I did. So that I think that might be the route I
That's
would
more
go.
interesting. Yeah.
Is that basically, and so there may be an angle to this that the Varou are protecting something or guarding they're guardians of something that there's some deep horrible evil that rests in these lands, and that's why they didn't want us here, is because they gotta make sure that if we get here, fuck, then this happens. And I doubt we're the first and only people that have tried to come here, expand into this region.
Right.
So, okay, there it is.
All right.
So, a bone walker. Do you think it's one bone walker? Or do you think it's?
I think it's at least two.
I mean, so here's a question. So, like from a combat perspective, I wonder if like if you know you just since you treat this as though it's a progress, right? So we would just create a new progress. We'd call it a dangerous progress, and we'd say the bone walkers, and then we would try to fill up our progress using the moves, right? And
Yep.
then once we get to the end the fight move. So when you end the fight, you make a decisive action, scoring a strong hit. You resolve the outcome of the fight, et cetera, right? And then
Yep.
that means the foes are no longer in the fight. So I think it could be as many or as few as we wanted, right? Like, I
No, I
mean,
think
that's
it could be, but I would say that it's at least a couple, maybe three or four. It just feels like we're gonna die.
it could. I mean, since the GM doesn't roll any dice, it's really just up to us to roll dice until we die.
Right. Yeah. All right. I got it marked as dangerous. How many boxes do we have to fill up to defeat them?
Let's see. So when you enter into combat, set the rank of each of your foes. Let me just read over combat real quick just to make
Okay.
sure I'm not missing something easy here. So moves, combat moves. So there are another option, source of free. When you enter combat, set that rank of each of your foes. So we're going to use the enter the so a dangerous foe is 2 progress per harm. Okay. So here it is. So if you're fighting a group of troublesome or dangerous foes, you can combine them into a single progress track. This is called a pack. Managing a progress against a pack is easier than tracking them as individuals and will make combat go a little faster. For a small pack, 3 to 5 increase the rank by 1. For a large pack, 6 to 10 increase the rank by 2. If you're facing more than 10 troublesome or dangerous foes, group them into smaller packs and create progress tracks as appropriate. So do you want to fight 1, 2? Because if we did 2, we would have 2 progress tracks, right? And if we did 3, we could do 1 progress track.
It would be one rank
But,
up from dangerous.
yeah, so it'd be formidable. Which do you think?
Let's take it to formidable. Let's say
All
there's
right.
3.
Okay, so a formidable foe would mean that we do 1 progress per harm. So when we do something to them and cause harm, we would get 1 progress box
Right.
per.
And how many do we need to?
Well, that's where we get into that end of the fight thing. So when you make the suit to end a fight, you score a strong hit. You resolve the outcome of this fight. If you do roll, oops. If you do roll the challenge dice and compare it to your progress, momentum is ignored. On a strong hit, the foe is no longer in the fight. They are killed out of action, flee, or surrender, whatever the thing is. On a weak hit, above, but you also must choose one. And then you can basically endure harm, stress, or victory is short lived, suffer collateral damage, you'll pay for it. Objective falls out of reach. Others won't forget. And on a miss, you have lost the fight and then you pay the price instead. So basically, it's kind of like your journey where you're trying to build up progress until you decide to roll those 2 dice to finish the fight. So let's just play it out and see how it goes, okay?
Okay.
So first and foremost, we need to enter the fray. So since we're doing a pack of these bone walkers, I would feel like since I'm a vagabond, I may not know any of these bone walkers. Like since I'm not originally from the village, but
Right.
what would you think would cause you to recognize some of these bone walkers as being people
If any of
from the
them
village?
had armor or clothing or something that had somebody's family crest or maybe a necklace.
Okay.
I certainly wouldn't recognize faces because I wouldn't have seen most of these people or any of them actually.
Well, they don't have faces; they have bones.
Right. Well, that's what
So
I meant. Like so yeah, probably like necklaces. Like I don't know. Some family likes to wear deer ankles around their
okay, yeah,
necks
and
or something. Something like that.
okay. So okay, well then, so you see the horror that is a uncle or cousin or other person from the village that you knew as a young child some some time ago rolls to square off against us, as well as a few other people. Let's say there's 3 bone walkers, just to make it. Do you want to say 3 or
Yeah. Well,
5?
no.
Doesn't really matter.
Let's say three. Let's.
Okay. Then you roll to determine who is in control. If you are facing off against your foe, roll plus heart. So each person is going to do that. So why don't you roll first?
Okay. So I'm rolling a d6 plus heart.
Yep. And then depending on how successful you are, that will determine if you take the initiative or if you
Okay. So it's a
do other
d6
things.
plus two for me. I got a 4.
Oh, you have to roll challenge dice too. Sorry.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah. So for you, it sounds like on a miss, combat begins with you at disadvantage and you pay the price. Your foe has the initiative. So in this case, paying the price, since we're going back to that, if I guess I could see some options. What do you think could happen? Like when these, like, we're kind of in camp, we're awakened in the night and we hear like the rustling in the bushes emerging from the undergrowth. People that you know, or at least people that you recognize. Their clothing, their the affectation, weaponry is stamped with the symbol of the village. How does that put you at disadvantage and you lose the initiative?
I suppose there would be just a little bit of panic, like understanding that they're monstrous creatures at this point,
Okay.
but not having ever encountered anything like that in my life. I think just a moment's hesitation,
Okay.
and then I lose the advantage, and they gain it.
All right. So in this case, so now this is my understanding as to how it works. Is that if the foe has initiative and fight with them in close quarters, you roll plus iron, and if you exchange at a volley at range, you roll plus edge. So this is called a clash move. This is when your foe has initiative and attacks, you choose to fight back using this move. Um, First, envision your action in the fiction of the exchange. Is it focused, dramatic moment where you seek an opening, or is it a flurry of attacks and parries? The outcome of the clash determines if your foe presses their advantage or if you take control of the fight. So, if you want to go ahead and roll, because you're going to do close quarters, you think?
I'm doing close quarters with the sword, yeah. And I believe that my fiction here is that I hesitate and lose, any sort of advantage I have to kind of strike first. So I think the thing that brings me back is all those hours of training,
Mm-hmm.
and I realize that I can't attack, and I have to, retreat just a little bit and kind of parry whatever they do first as they reach for me or whatever these kind of creatures do. I parry and then
So are you
riposte.
gonna? So here's the question: Are you actively fighting back, or
Yes.
okay? Because it does make a distinction. If you're not actively fighting back and instead you're just trying to avoid the attack, you would use face the danger instead of clash. So that's
No,
a neat.
we're gonna use clash.
Okay,
I would rather
so
use clash.
you roll plus iron, and then you would still roll your challenge dice, and then we're gonna see how you did.
It's a mixed result because I rolled a 9 and the challenge dice are an 8 and 9.
Oh
So I beat
Jesus!
one and missed the other. Yeah, I rolled as high as I could for me, but then so it's a mixed result.
Okay. So on a weak hit, you inflict your
weak hit.
harm, but pay the price. Your foe has initiative. So in this case, inflict your what is your harm based on your weapon?
I this is where the verbiage in the game throws me a bit. I mean, it's a sword against a skeleton, so I don't know if I chop something off, if I harm them. Chop. I still don't know how much harm they can take before one of them is dead or dispersed or.
Okay, so let's step back just a bit. And so what are your three assets? You have what?
I have Slayer, Hawk, and Swordmaster.
Okay, so Slayer, when you gather information by tracking a beast, okay, it's probably not a
Probably not that. It's probably Swordmaster.
okay, let's go to Swordmaster. Swordmaster, when you strike or
that.
clash and burn momentum to improve your result, inflict 2 harm. The fight continues, add +1 to your next move. So in this case, you're not burning momentum, so that doesn't apply. So, okay.
Can I burn momentum on a clash?
Well, you could, but so the momentum that you're burning. So remember how momentum? Do you remember how momentum works? Just as a refresher.
No,
I
honestly, I don't. I remember that we get it. Like I have 4 momentum, and I started with 2.
Yeah. So what can happen is if you fail a roll, or even if you fail a roll, you have a choice to replace your roll with your momentum dice. So let's say you absolutely borked it. You rolled a 1 and you got a +1 and you had a momentum of 4 and the dice both rolled 3s. Well, you could say I burned my momentum, reset it to its level, whatever it may be,
that's not gonna happen.
and then so in this case,
and no, at 4, you use a shitload of those. Like in this case, the challenge dice are 8 and 9. I'd have to have 10 momentum to burn my momentum.
You would have to, and
that's not super useful. Yeah,
that's pretty rare and to be able to do that because you could save momentum for a specific situation like this, but it's pretty hard to build up to that because that's very far away.
No, I see that. Yeah, so no, none of my talents help.
Okay, so now we're going to go to the pay the price. So there's probably just a few different options that we could do here. So pay the price. The most obvious outcome here is that you're kind of overwhelmed by the bone walkers considering your hesitation, and they would do damage
to harm to me.
Yeah, like that seems
and so like harm is harm the same as like my 2 harm? Do I go from 5 health to 3 health? What I don't the harm is one of those terms that they throw around, and then I don't remember how they're associated.
So, so basically, okay. So this is our first time. So if anybody else has any ideas as to how to explain this better, great. Because here's where it gets a little bit muddy, to me at least. So here, I would think that the Bone Walkers have secured some sort of strike against you or something like that, meaning that you did endure harm.
Yeah.
Now, what would happen is that as part of your move, you reduce your health track by the amount suffered. Now, and that's called the endure harm move. Now, a formidable foe is 3 harm. So, and then that basically just takes your harm down from 5
they went from dangerous to formidable, which is 3. Okay, because
so you would take.
I would go to 2 health.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm at 2 health.
And now I don't see that there is. I'm going to just double check to make sure. Okay, so here's the endure harm. When you face physical damage, suffer minus health equal to your foe's rank or is appropriate to the situation. If your health is 0, suffer minus momentum equal to your remaining minus health. Then roll plus health or plus iron, whichever is higher. On a strong hit, choose one. Then you can embrace the pain. On a weak hit, you press on. On a miss, you also suffer -1. Okay, so but since you're not at 0 health, you don't have to worry about the next part. But now you can roll a plus health or plus iron, whichever is better for you, to see if this benefits you in some way. Because you can change them for health.
That's the part I don't get.
Okay, so just roll the health.
Well, I would roll iron because my health is at 2 and my iron is 3.
Okay. Yep. Perfect. Well, let's just roll that then.
And I have to do the challenge dice too.
Yep.
All right. I rolled a 7 and the challenge dice were both 4, so that is a strong hit.
Okay. So on a strong hit, you can do one of two things. So the bone walkers, came in with their weapons, and there's just their overwhelming aggression managed to breach your defenses. However, as you said, you found a way to kind of turn it around and regain your footing, and kind of your training kicked in. So now you have the option, because you got a strong hit, to either shake it off. And if your health is greater than 0, you can suffer -1 momentum and exchange it for +1 health. Or you can embrace the pain and gain another momentum, possibly giving you a benefit to another clash or something like that.
Okay, but what happens? Okay, so yeah, this is all very confusing because I mean we started this off with a weak hit, which means I hit them and they hit me,
Mm-hmm.
and then
So,
I get to do the health thing, and then I got a
mhm.
strong hit on that. But all that allows me to do is potentially get back 1 health at the cost of 1 momentum.
Yeah, meaning that they didn't hit you as hard as they could, but you still hit them, giving yourself and so
All
basically
right,
you
I'm
got
gonna
to add.
drop my momentum to 3 and my health back up to 3
Okay.
because
And since you,
I think that's the best way to use momentum because I think sinking it all on a die roll is not great unless you're close to 10.
yeah, it would be pretty tough. Now, let's see. So now the only
I
thing that
guess I tried to shake it off.
now you get to inflict your harm to them. Now that's the part I'm not as following here.
And so that's from the
Okay.
weak hit that I got. So I'd inflict 1 harm to them, I guess.
Okay. So let's see. So you inflict your harm. Okay, let's see if I can find harm, because apparently I forgot. Oh, here it is. Inflicting harm. If you are armed with a deadly weapon, such as a sword, axe, spear, or bow, you inflict 2 harm, or 2
Okay.
harm. And if you are unarmed, you only inflict 1 harm. Now you have an option to inflict additional harm through your choice if you make a move. Each point of harm you inflict is marked as progress. So you have just done 2 progress to the pack of skeletons.
Walkers. Okay, so
So now it
2
is my.
wait, against a formidable foe is 2 progress, 2 boxes, or 2 lines in 1 box?
That is a good question. So I'm gonna look up Clash.
Sorry. Thank you. I feel
No,
like I
it's
should
it's
know
a
some of this better, but even
well,
having read some of this, it is ooh. It's
yeah.
it's just different enough from other systems that not having
So
done it.
yeah, and that's where this learning curve comes in. So in this case, the formidable foe, you do 1 progress per harm and 3 harm. So there is a multiplier when you get weaker enemies. So like a troublesome foe, you do 3 progress for harm. So you'd actually do 6 progress right out of the gate if you succeeded, right? So it's a fairly substantial heroic,
So it's 2 lines in 1 box is what you're telling me on formidable. It's 1 progress
no.
per
So
harm.
just so people are aware, in this game they use ticks and they use progress. So if you're looking at our character sheet, which actually has this coded into it, you're like, if you go to you actually get to fill in 2 boxes. So you get actually
Okay.
4 tixes. I'm now Gollum apparently explaining this. You get 4 tixes. You get
Well,
you actually get
actually,
8 ticks
yeah. Okay.
for
The
the
2
2
boxes are
harm.
filled in.
Hmm.
Okay, for the 2 harm.
Meaning
Let me
that
do
it's
that.
at least a start, right?
Okay. Yes. Now
Okay.
you get to go through this.
Yeah, now I get to do the exact same fray process. So obviously, seeing that you kind of like freeze for a moment with a look of recognition, not exactly the thing I would have expected. As we're sitting around our
Right.
fire making camp for the evening, a look of recognition for you seeing these
Skeletons.
bones, these
Maybe?
skeletons, just these animated corpses charging at you. I am a little concerned, but this is not the time for questions. The time for questions will be later. And I roll to enter the fray myself.
All right.
And
Fray them up.
where is enter the, what is it again? Enter the fray. Roll plus heart. Okay. So here's my plus heart to see how good I am here.
Okay.
And I don't think I was very good at heart, so I apologize. Oh, yep, heart +1. Ooh, how exciting. I'm like, fuck, skeletons. Eh.
Stonewalkers.
Yeah, I'm not exactly excited about the prospect of getting into this fight. But the good news is that it seems as though they were so focused on you that they didn't even notice me. So my 2 shadow seems to have paid off
Nice.
in this case. So in this case, I actually get to take 2 initiative, putting my initiative at a total of 5, and I have the initiative, meaning that when I have the initiative, I get to use um, a strike action. Oh, I didn't think about this when I was making my character, but I'm a ranged character and I have a spear. What an idiot. Um, okay. I guess I could throw my spear at one of them. I guess it
Good luck
seems
getting it
weird.
back, but yeah.
Yeah, just throw it like a javelin. I just have a
That's not a war cry. He uses spear.
yeah. I'll have to think about that because I guess I didn't. I thought for some reason spears. I don't know. I don't know what I thought. I thought I would be a ranged character. Then I picked close combat weapons. So good for me. Um, okay, so I'm gonna roll plus iron, which is also +1, and so here is what happens. Okay, so in this case, um, because I'm rolling, well, it wouldn't have mattered really. I would have had a weak hit either way for me. But I rolled a 2, add +1 for my iron, and I rolled an 8 and a 2, meaning that I exceeded one of the challenge dice, so I got a weak hit. Now, because I have a spear, I was able to do 2 harm to the dudes, but now I lose initiative, meaning that I'm sure what probably my realization at this point is that a spear is probably not the best thing to use against a a skeleton.
Right.
So I feel like I probably ran it through and more the harm came from just disrupting their formation or like proving that there was actually a second person in the fight rather than, I might have accidentally broken something, but it wasn't because I
Okay.
so accurately speared them in the solar plexus that it caused a chain reaction for them to break or something. I don't know. So yes, I enter the fray. I knock one down. I post it to I get it close to a tree, spearing it away from you, trying to give you um, a little bit of cover. And in doing so, I also cede my advantage of surprise to them. So do you want to clash with them, or what do you want to do?
I probably want to clash.
So, um, okay,
Yeah, I probably want to clash.
all right.
So I'll roll plus iron. Just making sure what I entered in was right. Nuts. So I got a 7 on my dice, and then a 7 and a 3 on the challenge dice. So it's another weak hit.
Yep. So another weak hit. So you inflict your harm, but you then pay the price, and your foe still has the initiative. So in this case, you take 3. So I'm going to move my progress bar up on the dude. So now we have 6 progress. Um, and now you take 3. Now here's where you endure harm.
So I take 3 and I go down to 0 health.
Okay. And now you roll endure harm.
And then endure harm was plus health or iron, right?
Mm-hmm.
So another d6 plus 3.
Sorry, Jeff. It seemed like you might be getting away from the mic a little bit.
No, yeah, and I was speaking under my breath too. And it's a strong hit. So
Okay, so here's where it gets a little tricky because on a strong hit, if your health is greater than 0, suffer -1 momentum for +1 health. Otherwise, you embrace the pain and take +1 momentum.
then I guess I'm embracing the pain. I'm at 0 health and 4 momentum now.
Okay, so well, that's interesting. So really endure harm and a miss is like that's the critical moment. Okay. So now so why don't you describe how you feel it's happening like at this point? There's 3 skeletons. I may have pried one away by kind of skewering it on my spear, but it feels like those 2 skeletons are probably giving you a run for their money.
I,
What do you
I, I
think?
think I'm fighting desperately to just try and stay alive. Like I'm realizing that training,
Mhm.
you know, or fighting people that are pulling stuff at the very last second, that aren't trying to kill
Mhm.
me, isn't the same as fighting something that's actually trying to end your life. I'm
Yeah.
coming to a very harsh realization in a very short period of time, and it's not going well.
So would you say that would you say that this is your first like live combat? Like this is the
I
first
think
time you've
life or
actually.
death combat, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. You may have been in some scraps, but not like
Not like
not like
this. No.
because the coldness in their socketless eyes kind of shows you that they're not going to stop until you're dead. That's it. There's no negotiating. There's no pleading. That's it. That's it. All right. So now for me, I have an option here. Do you want me to try to end the fight and then try to get a strong hit, or do you want me to clash one more time and give you an option to end the fight?
Um, you can try to end the fight. We have 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's slightly better than 50-50. Momentum's
Yeah.
ignored. I think you probably just need to hit him again. I think we got to get some more damage somehow.
Okay. So there is an option. So there is a once per fight, you can risk it all and you can steal initiative away from your foe to make a move. Um, so when you do add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit, if you fail to score a hit on that move, you must suffer a dire outcome and pay the price. Um, okay. So I'm gonna try to give us a better chance at doing this. I'm gonna try to turn the tide. So I'm a scrawny individual, so this is where it could be really bad for me. Um, so I'm gonna take the turn the tide, and I'm gonna use that to do um, a strike move, and I'm going to roll my plus iron plus one, and then so it's going to be 1d6.
Okay.
Unless, so I think this is probably, if you're okay with me doing this.
Hey, no, I think it's good.
And so what I feel like is going to happen here is that I'm going to try to basically take my spear out of the skewered skeleton, or even take it with me, because obviously skeletons don't weigh as much as people, and use it to kind of like, sweep the other ones, kind of like push them forward, like it's a bow staff or something like that,
Okay.
and put them in a very disadvantageous position. Also meaning that if I miss, then I just kind of I throw them all on top of me. That in itself could probably be bad too. So
Could be, yes.
shall we see what happens?
Yes. Let's see what happens.
Oh, nice. I thought I was screwed because I saw the ones and I was like, wait, what the fuck? Okay. So in this case, what seems to have happened is that I was able to push them back, and kind of, I feel like I was able to push them down onto the ground, kind of gaining a position of leverage over all three of them, pinning them, either against a tree, or like against the ground or something like that. The ground probably seems more likely, like I just kind of forced them down. And I get to inflict +1 harm, retain the initiative, and I get +1 momentum for that. So that's
Nice.
good.
So you inflicted
So I inflict
2
3
harm plus 1 harm, so you do 3 harm?
Mm-hmm. Meaning that I've teed this up, I think, pretty good for you to do that next.
Well, we should be at 9 now, right? Is that where you're at?
That's what
at
I
6
that's
and
my
we're at 9.
my count there. And so
It's
now
a shame that you don't get to just follow that up and do something from a
no,
storytelling.
this is I basically I'm putting him down, and it's like I'm looking at you like, finish it.
All right, so I'm going to try to finish it.
Okay.
So end the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Have to score a strong hit. You may resolve the out. If you do, roll the challenge dice and compare it to your progress. So I need to not roll a 9 or a 10 on the challenge
Correct.
dice, right?
Yeah. So rolling a 9 and a 10 would be the worst outcome here.
Well, a 9 or a 10, either one of those doesn't give us a strong
Holy
hit.
fuck.
I rolled a 10 and a 9. Okay, so that is that is a weak hit.
No, that's
Oh no, it's not a weak hit. It's a miss. It's a miss. I lost the fight, and I have to pay the price. All right. We got it to 9. That's yeah, hey man, that's how the dice go sometimes.
It does.
I was trying to figure out what you were doing, and I go to swing, and I slip and stumble and fall right at the Bone Walker's feet, letting them stare at each other and go, "Oh, I guess we'll just kill this one." I don't know what they do now, because we lost the fight, and so I have to pay the price, and I don't know what prices I have to pay.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure what the most. I mean, obviously, there's a price that is paid of dying, but I don't think our story is done just yet. So why don't we? That's funny. Why don't you roll the D100 for me?
Okay.
And tell me. Let's see what happens.
The D100 is a 26.
Okay. So D100 is a 26. Something of value is lost or destroyed. So I have a feeling that like this is when we kind of fade to to black, and it's just kind of like a montage of like the skeletons trying to rend our flesh. We we make it out barely, but I feel like something has to.
I don't think I made it out with the sword, Mike.
Okay, you think that you part of the thing is that you got disarmed, and then in that
Yeah,
montage, like you just kind of left, kind of like ran away, and
yeah. And even if we go back and find it, it's probably broken, or maybe the Bone Walker's using it. I don't know. I think I lost the sword that my master gave me.
okay.
Is the consequence for doing so poorly in that fight.
Um, so we got lost pretty bad. I'm going to also say that it feels like we, since I imagine us like kind of camping. So I'm going to say that we've
We don't
made
know
it.
where we are.
Well, we're off track.
Yep.
We so we have to kind of get back on track, and I think we can use the lost in the hinterlands idea. But I also think that we probably lost some supply. Um, how much supply do you think we would lose in this case? Because supply is just a general preparedness number. But what do you
I would
think
say at
feels
least half of what we had, if not all.
so down to two supply? So kind of keep barely enough to keep us afloat for a little bit longer. Maybe basically what we had in our pouches and all that stuff. Maybe not a
Yeah.
bedroll. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
we got out with some whatever we had on us, which was something, which was more
mhm.
than nothing, but it's not much.
And so as we ran through the night, um, away from the warmth and protection of our fire, leaving back, our backpacks and other things that were very necessary for traveling. We had the mind to keep each other in sight, so we at least kept each other there. But we just ran and ran until morning, until basically I would say you collapsed based on having zero health, right?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Um, I I have no idea which direction we ran or anything.
I don't either.
We just ran a direction, and it was
We booked
wild.
it. It was away from the Bone Walkers.
Yeah, it was,
That
and it
was that
was
was the direction.
pretty much ping ponged on bushes and trees and whatever other obstacles, rocks would push us
Yeah,
in a
yeah. Have
direction.
you ever run through have you ever run through the woods at night? You
No,
can
I've
see about effectively about 9 inches in front of you. There's branches hitting your face and rocks turning under your feet, and trees that literally come up out of nowhere, depressions in the ground that might as well be canyons. Like, I
yeah,
don't recommend it, and I certainly wouldn't do it now, but I have done it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not
No,
for the faint of heart.
well, since bone walkers were on one end and a dark set of a dark foresty hinterland type area was on the other, um, then I mean, you know what I'm saying, like. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
I think hinterlands don't necessarily have to be forested, but there are definitely parts of the hinterlands that have woods and stuff, so I don't know. Uh,
even the hills, even
mm.
anything, man. You just the vision is not what you think it is when you're because you add your momentum and it sort of blurs everything, and
Oh,
yeah, it's
well, so I'm looking at Byron Bay hinterlands, and that's kind of what I imagined, areas of open hilly plains, but then forested stuff on the other sides with rugged, more mountainous areas around too, you know. Yeah, okay. So I could see if we were in one of those patches that would suck ass to try to run through. Oh god. Okay, so now I think yeah. So I think we could probably make camp and try to
God, try to heal.
Try to heal.
Oh.
So I think what's probably what probably would happen here is that at the end of this, when we were done and at the the end of exhaustion, um, I would try to heal you before we made any kind of camp, and all that kind of stuff because you're at literally zero. Um, you're at zero health, so I can roll iron or wits. I think wits is better for me.
I think you roll whichever is lower.
Oh no,
Maybe maybe that's if I'm helping myself.
If you're doing yourself. So when you treat an injury, roll plus wits.
Okay. It's wits or iron, whichever is lower. So you get to roll wits. All right. So go ahead and roll wits, and we need to pray for a strong hit here. Weak hit.
A weak hit. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give or take up to 2 health. I don't know what that means.
I think if I'm treating myself, I take 2 health. I think if you're treating me, you give up 2 health.
I'll just
that seems weird. That seems weird.
Let's see what it says. When you tend to
takes time. Use what seems appropriate.
Yeah, it just kind of says that I'm just because your health is kind of an overall representation of healthiness, right? Since you don't have any conditions or anything like that, I think it's just more like I bandage you up. So I'm going to say that you would gain +2 health in this, but I'm going to lose a momentum as part of this. Because that seems like the safest thing for me to lose at this point. I'm going to take 2 momentum as a way to pay for that.
Okay.
So really at this point, I think that this is probably about the time to finish our journey so far. Got knocked off course by some bone walkers.
Whoa, that was not good.
And we've taken scraps of our whatever we could find and everything like that to kind of wrap up your wounds and make sure that you're not totally infected. And we're just kind of sitting in the cold gray morning, tired, bloody, looking around, being like, where the fuck are we?
Yeah, I don't think we know.
We don't know.
I don't think we know.
And what a way to change trajectory. It is a journey. It is a journey.
That's what they say. They say it's a journey.
So another fun session, honestly. I mean,
that was kind of brutal.
And the nice thing is that I think if you don't because there is that still gamified components to it. It allows you to have that like thrill of not knowing what's going to happen. You couldn't have told me in a million years that we'd be like, okay, we've got 9 progress. We just need to not roll 9s and 10s, and you fucking
I rolled a 9 and a 10. Yeah. Like,
and it's like you couldn't have like told me that was going to be the outcome because it's like, okay, well, I guess we just. It just, I put myself in a bad spot and then they overpowered me because obviously the power of the dead was stronger than the power of the living that night. And yeah.
The
so now
Bonewalkers were fierce.
So this is why the Bonewalkers are not totally eradicated by the Varou, is because they're actually scrappy motherfuckers. And they will end you.
Yeah, no, they surprise the shit out of you. Especially when you're ill-prepared for your quest in the first place.
So now we have another question about Bonewalkers. Where do they come from? Yeah,
because I think you would have asked me after you helped heal me, and we kind of settled down, like, why did you seem so surprised?
Yeah, why were you
never seen walking skeletons before? dressed in the garb of our tribe from a generation ago.
It's true.
Like I noticed the necklace with the family crest on it. Like out of the the Florel clan.
Yeah.
It surprised me, but I know that they lost family members in the battle with the Varou, and I don't know what evil raised them back up. I don't think it was the Varou, but there's something besides the Varou in this area. Something evil is afoot. The Leviathans come back. The dead are being raised.
And this is
this all sounds bad.
And you have us two assholes trying to solve the problem.
Dogs and cats living together.
I just watched Groundhog Day the other day. I love that movie so much. Yeah, I try to watch it every February, but the wife doesn't appreciate it as much as I do, so it tends to be a solo activity. I just like it. I don't know why. It's just a fun movie. So
it is.
And by extension, I also like Edge of Tomorrow. I like that movie a lot too. Groundhog Day with power suits. Come on. Hard to go wrong. So
that's
okay.
True.
So that's another episode of Ironsworn. Of course, as we continue our journey to face off against the Leviathan, which is still has a stranglehold on the village, making it so that they will perish if we don't find some solution to the issue. We will see if we can overcome this very epic adventure.
Yeah, by the end of this, I'm going to be throwing pebbles at stuff.
Well, what's interesting to me is that, like, I feel like this could be an ongoing, like, it's just us two, Jeff, for whatever reason, like, whoop, we could just pop into our Ironsworn game, play an hour or two, and see.
We could play for the next 5 years, and at the end, it took 5 years of game time for us to finally get back, and they're like, "No, we moved the village."
Yeah,
the Leviathan apparently only wanted to be here.
We did everything we could. Everyone died.
We got tired of waiting for you, so we left.
I mean, in game time, it's really only been like a few
days.
Only
been a couple. It's only been a few days, a handful of days. Yeah.
So I mean, because we were making waypoints, we weren't
maybe
even
a
like
week.
A week at the most. So.
Yeah, at the most.
All right. So that's this week's episode. Of course, if you like this type of content, please let us know by commenting, liking, subscribing to the channel, hitting notifications, doing all that stuff. And of course, if you have played Ironsworn and you have tips or tricks as to how we could play it more effectively, let us know. I think that would be really fun to hear how other people are doing it, especially those down in the comments. And Jeff, do you want to send us off into the...
Yeah, as yonder Brent would say at the end of the evening, roll well, roll wise, and be safe out there.
All right. Take care,
everyone.